This presentation fulfills the charter requirement that the mayor shall make an annual report to the City Council as to the condition and affairs of the city. What follows is just a sampling of what makes Richmond such an interesting and dynamic place. If you don't see your favorite event or program, please understand there are just so many I couldn't cover them all. Richmond is a great place because of the people who live and work here. I want to especially recognize the hard work and dedication of my fellow City Council members, including our newest member, Otto Racinos, our management team, and all of our city employees. These dedicated staff members are available every day to help the people of Richmond. The past year has been a good one for Richmond, and the news is mostly good. Here's my pick of the top 10 news stories since I gave the 2017 State of the City presentation a year ago. And by the way, there's a card out here that my staff put together. It's got a place to scan it, so you can actually just scan this into your iPhone or whatever, and it'll pull up this whole address right there. Look at that. These guys are really clever. For over a decade, the city of Richmond's financial condition has been the subject of both criticism and speculation. Our general fund bond rating was lowered. The City Council and city leadership have taken serious measures to secure a stable financial future, and it is working. Our bond rating is up, our reserves are increasing, and our budgets are balanced. Looking back, let's start with 2015. When we began using a new sophisticated 5-year budget forecasting model, the future looked bleak. As we approached the middle of the fiscal year 2015-2016, deficits were declining, but our cash reserves were still dropping, leaving negative fund balances. The next year, in 2016, the Council adopted a balanced budget that preserved our ending fund balance, but still did not stop the fund balance decline. Additional revenues or cost reductions were needed to reach a surplus and to achieve a growing fund balance. A promising sign has been the steady growth of our 3 primary revenue sources, and primarily our sales and property taxes, following the economic growth that's taken place in the Bay Area and elsewhere. Sales and property tax revenues have shot up a combined 9.7% over the last 3 years. In fiscal year 16-17, some unexpected one-time miscellaneous revenues combined with improved departmental operating performance created a bounce back in revenue, which reversed the trend of declining cash reserves. This fiscal year, 2017-18, we adopted the most sustainable budget in recent history. We successfully reset our baseline expenses, and the 5-year forecast results finally show a growing fund balance, allowing us to contribute toward our OPEB unfunded liability. To sustain this, we need to maintain the same fiscal discipline over multiple years. While we did not agree that our credit rating declines in recent years were warranted, we understood the bases, and we endeavored to mitigate them. Finally, in 2017, Standard & Poor's assigned the city a positive outlook and raised its issuer credit rating to an A- from a BBB+. Our wastewater revenue bonds were also rated and managed to keep a strong AA- rating. These results are due to fiscal discipline and stable to positive budgetary performance. Like most California cities, our most serious looming fiscal challenge is the growing cost of pensions. The trajectory is unsustainable. Even though we have fewer city employees, our total expenses for salaries, wages, and benefits continues to climb. The total of all pensions and benefits have increased by 45% in the last 5 years and now make up just over 30% of our general fund expenditures. The primary driver of the increases are the growing CalPERS costs. As CalPERS tries to get ahead of their unfunded liabilities, based on unrealistic projections of investment returns. CalPERS costs have already risen 63% in the past 5 years. And the League of California Cities predicts that, that there will be another 50% rise in the next 6 years. I'm stuck. Okay, thank you. By necessity, we've had a 25% reduction in the city's workforce over the last 10 years, which stands at 721 today compared to 962 10 years ago. The city manager believes that further reductions would negatively affect our service levels. There are threats looming which could challenge our efforts to maintain or grow our staffing levels. To sustain fiscal health without shrinking staff even further, we have to explore potential revenue enhancements. One possibility is finding additional revenue for stormwater management, an unfunded state mandate. We could adopt a new fee to take care of some of this. We could also take another run at the real estate transfer tax. A new soda tax is also being considered to fund the anticipated passage of the Kids First initiative, which could otherwise take a 3% bite out of the budget. We hope that property taxes, sales taxes, and utility user taxes will continue to grow, but these have proven to be unpredictable over the years. Just last week, the City of Richmond received both the Operating Budget Excellence and Capital Budget Excellence Awards from the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers for its fiscal year 2017-18. Operating and capital improvement budgets. This is awarded to municipal agencies in California whose budget documents meet high-quality professional standards. The award program uses a peer review process to evaluate documents based on meritorious and excellence criteria set forth by the CMFO. The Finance Department also received 2 awards for fiscal years 16 and 17 from the Government Finance Officers Association. While the city's employment rate is at an all-time high, there are still people out of work. Training people with new skills is the key to reducing the unemployment rate even more, and it has the added benefit of helping us fight crime. In November 2017, the unemployment rate for Richmond residents dropped to 3.6%, the lowest on record and possibly the lowest in history, and it's holding steady so far into 2018. It is more than a full percentage point below the California rate of 4.9%, and half a percentage point below the U.S. rate of 4.1%. This is good news, remembering how hard Richmond was hit by the Great Recession, with unemployment peaking at 18.5% just 6 years ago in 2011. Last year, Richmond Build turned 10 years old and placed over 1,000 residents into the construction industry. To date, Richmond Build has secured over $13 million in grants and recently celebrated the commencement of 2 new programs, the Construction Resource Center and the Accelerating Careers Through Essential Skills program. And here's something unique. Last year, Richmond Build made headlines for a unique scheduling conflict. In November 2017, the graduation ceremony for a Richmond Build cohort had to be canceled because all the graduates had already started working and couldn't take time off to attend the ceremony. Those are the kind of results we like. Richmond's minimum wage rose to $13.41 an hour on the first day of this year. In 2019, it will go up to $15 an hour. In 2017, Richmond continued to advance several equity initiatives, earning the city national recognition. Our Municipal Equity Index score reached a new high. Last year, 41 Richmond residents attended the Bay Area Young Men of Color Employment Partnership Career Summit in Oakland. 36 of those individuals received on-the-spot job offers from employers throughout the region. The City Council resolved a heated debate over annexation of North Richmond by pursuing a parallel approach that includes some kind of non-binding plebiscite, but also initiation of the annexation application process through the Contra Costa County Local Agency Formation Commission, which has its own complex system of protest votes. The concept is that if the plebiscite fails to show support for annexation, the City Council could pull the plug on the LAFCO annexation application. Over the last 10 years, residents have repeatedly rated Richmond ever higher as being a better place to live, retire, and raise children. Overall quality of life, appearance, and the image of Richmond have also improved dramatically, according to responses from the city's biannual community survey. You know, we started this survey in 2007, and the most recent iteration of it was the survey was completed in the middle of last year and reported in September. In the same community survey, residents have identified reducing crime, improving street conditions, improving environmental quality, addressing blighted properties, and improving park conditions as the top 5 issues to address in the next 2 years. We have many hard-working boards and commissions, but many of them are under strength. They all provide an opportunity for people to make a difference in our community. I ask that everyone help me recruit people to serve on these boards and commissions. Public policy around housing and commercial property remains contentious. Rising commercial values are indicators of job growth, rising wages, and increasing tax revenue. But some lament the pressures placed on artists and small businesses. Everyone agrees we need more housing and affordable rents, but how to get there is a deep policy divide. Some think rent control is the answer, and others think incentives to build more housing is the way to go. I'm sorry to say that NIMBYism is alive and well in Richmond. One person's gentrification is another person's opportunity. According to Trulia, the median residential rent in Richmond is stabilized at about $2,485 from its peak levels in 2016. Zilla's data is a little bit different. It shows a modest $100 a month increase over the 2016 levels. At the same time, the total number of rentals is decreasing. We don't know exactly what that is, but it's possible that it's due to some landlords selling out single-family homes to avoid rent control and just cause. Richmond still has the cheapest rents in the Inner Bay Area. With a median rent of $2,485 a month, that means that half the rents are even less, as they are obviously for smaller apartments and smaller homes. Just next door in El Cerrito, the median rent is $3,425, which is 38% higher than Richmond. And in San Francisco, it's $3,437, nearly 40% higher. Like the entire Bay Area, median rents are still above the 30% of income affordability rule of thumb. Richmond still has the most affordable housing prices in the Inner Bay Area, with a median of around $440,000 to $480,000, depending on the source. That means, of course, that half the homes sold are even less than, say, $440,000. Just across the street in El Cerrito, the median home price nearly doubles. It's between $900,000 and $1 million. A few years ago, foreclosures were rampant, with vacant homes all across Richmond. Today, only a tiny fraction of our housing stock is facing foreclosure. Switching to the commercial real estate front, Prices continue to rise, and vacancies continue to drop. The low vacancies and high rental rates that are now up to around $70 cents a square foot are partially attributed to the demand for illegal marijuana cultivation spaces. Vacancies in manufacturing buildings are still historically low at 5.9%, but are not showing increasing demand. The problem is that Richmond has a shortage of the higher quality buildings that are most in demand right now. The Richmond office market is also showing favorable trends, but vacancies are significantly higher compared to manufacturing and warehouses. One of the reasons is that millennials seem to prefer to work in more urban locations with access to amenities not offered in Richmond. The city manager and I met with Chancellor Crest this January, and I'm happy to report that UC Berkeley is again moving to develop new commercial real estate opportunities on their property formerly known as the Richmond Field Station. The only thing off the table is housing, but the Richmond Bay specific plan has plenty of housing opportunities just next door, and we're looking forward to rolling out more information on this as the year goes on. After a decade-long drought, hundreds of new housing units are under construction in Richmond, and over 1,000 are in various stages of entitlement. Under Richmond's inclusionary housing ordinance, these will be contributing millions of dollars to our affordable housing fund and can be leveraged to subsidize significant affordable housing construction. The Richmond Rent Program is a new city department created to implement the Richmond Fair Rent, Just Cause, and Eviction and Homeowners Protection Ordinance, adopted by city voters in November of 2016. It launched on January 3rd of 2017 and has received and responded over 5,000 inquiries from tenants, landlords, and property managers since it opened. The Rent Board had its first meeting on April 1st, 2017. Since then, the group has succeeded in passing a budget and several regulations. They're currently offering numerous informational workshops for renters and landlords in Richmond. Most cities, including Richmond, rely on the federal funding that comes through county resources focused on creating programs that address homelessness. The City of Richmond collaborates extensively with the Contra Costa Health, Housing, and Homeless Program to maximize service levels in the city and promote successful and comprehensive policies and programs. The most exciting project we are working on right now with Contra Costa County is a 50-unit permanent supportive housing development for homeless persons, and we hope to be rolling that out within the next year. The key to affordable housing is subsidies that can come from cap-and-trade funds, federal tax credits, surplus public land, and our inclusionary housing fund. New market rate developments have added millions to our inclusionary housing fund, or will add millions. Our new aggressive zoning codes also encourage ADUs and JADUs, accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units, that increase housing availability. And frankly, I wish more people would take advantage of them. My understanding is that not a single applicant has applied for a junior accessory dwelling unit since we passed this ordinance in 2016. I think there are probably a lot of illegal ones being done out there, but people just aren't applying for permits and running these through the process, and that's risky. Our active engagement with developers is lining up some new developments with about 1,800 new units currently in the pipeline. A leading initiative started for the first time in Richmond is the Richmond Housing Renovation Program operated by the Richmond Community Foundation and funded with social impact bonds. 8 homes are completed, more are on the way. The program is frequently showcased as our most innovative housing initiative and has been recognized with many awards, including the Foundation of the Year for Richmond Community Foundation, San Francisco Business Times Innovation Award to Mechanics Bank, and the California Lawyer Attorney of the Year Award to John Knox, who was instrumental in designing this program and bringing it forward. A robust business climate is essential for a healthy city. Richmond's historic Main Street is finally at the tipping point of success. Mixed-use development at 12th and McDonald is moving forward, which will include around 300 or 400 units of housing, commercial space, and community space. Down the street from 12th and McDonald, several new businesses will soon be moving into the retail space at the BART parking garage. CoBiz Richmond, a co-working business incubator, has signed a 10-year lease to occupy all of the vacant space in the BART garage, including Red Bay Coffee and Urban Remedy, the organic food company, are set to move into the BART property as well. For 2 years, the mayor's office has partnered with Betty Reed Soskin, the National Park Service, sculptor Mario Chiodo, and other partners to build a monument called Dormitory O, named after an all-black dorm that burned down during World War II, killing 8 of its residents. The monument is planned to be erected in downtown, and we're finalizing a major sponsorship to help finance the project. Dormitory O is part of a monument series spanning between Richmond, Port Chicago, and Vallejo that celebrates individuals who help build our freedom through diversity and by their sacrifices as defense workers. In just a few months, the building at the Richmond BART station, originally intended to be a transit center, will be repurposed as the Richmond Visitor Center. The Richmond Main Street Initiative and Visit Richmond CA, our Visitor and Convention Bureau, will move their offices into the space, which may also include a Richmond-themed store. This is the busiest pedestrian location in Richmond, with 8,000 persons a day passing through. The western termination of the Nevin Streetscape project opened in December 2017 with the $12 million BART North entry. This fully functional, multimodal access to BART and Amtrak in the heart of downtown will be a catalyst for additional growth that will generate housing construction and jobs and also build capacity for future ferry riders. In July 2017, LBG Real Estate purchased Hilltop Mall, renamed and rebranded it as the Shops at Hilltop. LBG is pursuing amenities such as a movie theater, live theater, a 99 Ranch Asian supermarket, and up to 40 restaurants to revive the mall. This month, the new mall owners acquired the old J.C. Penney property, which will be used for new development. And the mall site is zoned for high-density housing developments that could reach around 9,600 new units eventually. In 2017, the mayor's office continued the quarterly business roundtable series. The Taste of Richmond, the city's first public foodie event, was a breakthrough success with hundreds of people attending the inaugural event last May at the Riggers Loft. Several new businesses are contributing to the growth of retail options and to Richmond's beer and wine offerings. In 2016, it was estimated that 3,000 businesses were operating without licenses in Richmond, evading taxes and avoiding health and safety regulation. The Munis Services Business License Audit and the Business License Enforcement through the Code Enforcement Unit collected nearly $1.6 million from 1,850 businesses that had been previously flying under the radar. Just last year, the Code Enforcement Unit collected over $350,000 just through September. There are still an estimated 850 businesses that are operating without a business license in Richmond. And one of the reasons this is important is that getting a business license is the portal to all other business regulatory operations. I probably shouldn't put this out in public, but the truth of it is, if you don't have a business license, you're not going to get a fire inspection, you're not going to get an inspection of your rental unit. The city doesn't even know you're there. So it's our job and our goal to bring in every business under this regulatory framework. In 2017, vehicle distribution exceeded 150,000 units at the port, An auto warehousing company reached a staff level of 200 employees. Long-term leases were finalized with the Dutra Group, Sauce Brothers Marine, and NRC Environmental Services for facilities at Point Potrero and Terminal 3. Rehabilitation is now underway of the machine shop at Terminal 3 and of warehouse number 1 at Point Potrero Marine Terminal. It turned into a 3-year project, but in August of 2017, we completed Richmond's marketing and branding initiative, totally funded by over $100,000 in contributions from Richmond businesses. Presentations to community groups is ongoing, and use of the marketing collateral is growing. And if you know some organization that would like a presentation of this, you can call me or call my staff, and we'll arrange to come out and give you one. The market research in our study revealed a major knowledge gap about our many assets and strengths, which allows negative perceptions to stick. Survey results told us how strong our current brand is by asking, would you recommend Richmond to a friend or colleague as a place to live, work, or visit? The results were very weak, both from people living in Richmond and people living outside of Richmond. However, a similar question asked in our 2017 community survey shows that more and more people are willing to share positive measures about Richmond. So good news is people are feeling better about Richmond. Bad news is not enough of them are feeling good about Richmond. Reducing crime and improving public safety continues to be the #1 concern of Richmond residents. In 2017, 95% of community survey respondents ranked reducing crime as the most important city issue. 2017 had the lowest Richmond homicide rate on record, second lowest, dropping by 37% compared to 2016. So far, there are 0 homicides in 2018. 0.
Really?
Overall, violent crime decreased by 2% in 2017, and ShotSpotter activations went down by 8%. The total number of full-time sworn officers has continued to decrease from 200 6 years ago to 178 now. Last year, there were over 96,000 9/11 emergency calls and 194,000 dispatch calls for service. This month, the police department rolled out their open data website intended to make data more transparent and accessible for the general public. I hope you've all had a chance to look at it. Historically, Richmond's homicide rate appears to move in cycles. It peaked in 1991 and 2007 and reached low points in 1987, 1998, 2001, 2014, and 2017. And of course, we hope that it just keeps getting lower and lower. We hope it stays at 0. Consistent with the Bay Area trend, property crime saw significant increases in 2017. Overall, property crime sharply increased by 18%. In particular, auto burglaries were up by 28%. Smash and grabs continue the trend throughout the Bay Area. Do not leave anything that looks valuable in your car, ever. In 2017, the police department launched the Community Safety Academy, a first-of-its-kind initiative to graduate police department ambassadors and educate the community about the functions of law enforcement. 41 Richmond residents graduated from the academy last year. The Family Justice Center served over 1,000 families and launched an elder abuse prevention program. Operation Ceasefire received 2 paid coordinators to boost efforts to stop gun violence in Richmond. This year, the Richmond Fire Department is focused on training new recruits and improving its level of service. Several crews supported the effort to stop the large fires around the state. And I got to visit one of the fire camps in Santa Rosa and talk to the crew up there. It was a pretty interesting trip. Genevieve Pastor Cohen was hired as the new emergency services manager, bringing in 25 years of experience in the comprehensive emergency management field to the Richmond Fire Department's Office of Emergency Services. Welcome, Genevieve. The Department of Infrastructure Maintenance and Operations is responsible for numerous city functions, including abatement, code enforcement, parks, and facilities maintenance. The code enforcement and abatement teams work diligently to address issues around illegal dumping and abandoned structures. 3 vacant and abandoned houses were demolished this past year in an effort to curb illegal dumping. 19 new video cameras were installed throughout Richmond in hotspots. Additionally, 6 illegal waste transfer stations were shut down. The Water Resource Recovery Department issued over $30 million in bonds with a lower than expected interest rate. They also started the long-needed 13th Street Wet Weather Capacity Project and replaced collapsed sewer pipe along South 23rd Street. Pictured as one of the 2 hydrodynamic separators installed in large storm pipes upstream from outfalls to the bay. They use centrifugal force to take trash, debris, and sediment out of the water. Much of the investment in city parks, trails, and energy-efficient projects is grant funded. The $90 million Chevron Environmental and Community Investment Agreement was first approved July 19, 2014, and has 10 major elements. $30 million, it's actually $35 million, $30 million goes for greenhouse gas reduction programs, and the other $50 million and $50 million for community programs, including the $35 million Promise program. Under the umbrella of the ECIA, Groundwork Richmond has done extensive work improving our urban forest, including planting 500 trees throughout the city, helping over 100 residents adopt and care for trees, and planting trees at new or newly refurbished parks, such as Wendell Park, Unity Park, and Carlson Meadows. Richmond received the 2017 Solar Access Champion Award at Grid Alternatives Interconnection event in October. The city's partnership with Grid continues to generate best practices, including 632 kilowatts of solar for 271 income qualifying families, will provide a total of $7.85 million in energy cost savings for Richmond families and eliminate over 19,000 tons of harmful greenhouse gas emissions, the equivalent to taking 3,660 cars off the road for 1 year, or planting 445,000 trees. In 2017, the city and Grid Alternatives partnered to complete a multifamily solar installation of 98 housing units at Triangle Court, providing families with 3 solar systems that will reduce their energy bills 50 to 90%. Possibly the most popular ECIA program is the Competitive Community Grant Program, where dozens of organizations have been funded for innovative programs and projects to improve the quality of life in Richmond. Richmond Promise not only provides a scholarship worth $6,000, it works with many partners to create a college-going and college-graduating culture, beginning as early as kindergarten. The Promise is a powerful carrot for student participation and developing leadership in our community. New programs and deepening partnerships enhance the college experience and improve success for scholars. Grants were awarded to provide pathways for Contra Costa College students to have a higher success rate in core subjects such as math. The Near Peer Ambassador program was launched, where Richmond Promise scholars connect with 9th graders, providing classroom-based college and career conversations and college tours. Applications are due March 8th for a deadline. Applications are due March 8th for this program. So if you know anybody that wants to participate, it's time to get signed up. There was a 21% decrease in summer melt rate from 2016 to 2017 in the Promise program. The term summer melt refers to students who applied and were granted a scholarship but didn't claim it because they didn't enroll to go to college in the fall for whatever reason. Summer melt is magnified among two-year and low-income students. 361 scholarships were awarded for the class of 2017, and a total of 561 scholarships have been awarded since 2016. Richmond's 800 annual seniors from public, charter, and private schools are eligible for scholarships. One of the main objectives is to raise the percentage of college-eligible seniors. Out of those that accept the scholarship, 82% are first-generation college students, 96% identified as students of color, 70% are eligible for free or reduced lunches, and are spanned across 82 colleges and universities. Richmond City staff and community members have been hard at work applying for grants, designing infrastructure improvement projects, and developing plans that create and equitably address Richmond's mobility needs. Bicycles and pedestrian improvement projects, bike racks, bike share programs, shuttle services, and collective plans can be seen throughout the city. The boats are built, the terminal is under construction, and ferry service is scheduled to begin in October of this year. The trip to San Francisco Ferry Building will take about 30 minutes and will operate on weekdays only until demand grows during commute hours. The new terminal will also have 16 electronic bike locker spaces. New Partners for Smart Growth Conference was held in San Francisco this year, and participants from all over the country joined Richmond leaders to learn about how we leverage partnerships to build pathways to wellness. They toured Pogo Park, Unity Park, and the Rose of the Riveter World War II Homefront National Historical Park. Street conditions are failing because of reduced funding for the last several years, but more funding from SB 1 is on the way. Richmond ranks 16th out of 20 cities in Contra Costa County for pavement conditions. All our revenue for street paving comes from state and federal pass-throughs, and our current 5-year funding outlook includes $30.2 million. However, we won't be able to get ahead of the curve and start improving our overall street conditions without an additional $29 million. Thankfully, SB 1, the 12% state gas tax, has started providing a substantial boost to our funding. With a $1 million grant from the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, the city installed 15 bicycle share stations for over 144 bicycles. Over 100 bike racks were installed via the Bay Area Air Quality Management District voucher program. We were awarded $40,000 from Bay Area Air Quality Management District to install 5 quad electric bike lockers. The BART East Side Entrance Project added 8 bike lockers. And as one of the largest community-driven park projects, a large portion of the Richmond Greenway received a makeover with the construction of numerous Unity Park-related projects. The City of Richmond, working in partnership with numerous community organizations and groups, brought in almost $10 million last year in grant funding from state and federal sources to improve parks and open spaces throughout our city. Construction is almost complete on the first phase of the Bridge Access Improvement Project that includes over a mile of Bay Trail between Castro Street and Stenmark Drive. This is what will enable people to bicycle across 580 safely. A bidirectional trail on the upper deck of the Bay Bridge is expected to be completed by early next year. And a third eastbound traffic lane is scheduled to be completed in April this year. The Metropolitan Transportation Commission has budgeted a total of $73.6 million for all phases of the project, which is officially known as the I-580 Access Improvement Project. And we also have a placeholder in the RM3 budget of about $90 million for additional improvements to the east end of the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge and over $100 million for additional improvements to the west end. So when RM3 comes up, vote for it. Richmond is a national leader in climate change and sustainability. The Resilient by Design Home team is working with the Richmond community to co-create innovative plans for climate change resiliency. The team will present an update at a March City Council meeting. And I believe there's a workshop next week in North Richmond on this. I've sent out information. Look in the mayor's Facebook page if you want more information about it. Richmond households and businesses are saving millions of dollars while also saving the planet with electricity from MCE. Sadly, 8,000 households in Richmond have opted out, which is about 20% of Richmond ratepayers. They've opted out and are paying more for energy than they should be while contributing to global warming. How can we get the rest of Richmond on board? What are they waiting for? Richmond is now the home of Solar One, the largest publicly sponsored solar farm in California. Look for it along the west side of the parkway. There will be a formal dedication in April around Earth Day. And I have a little film here. No applause? Come on, guys. That was a great film. In 2017, Richmond won 2 more awards from the Institute for Local Government's Beacon Program, a Platinum Award for Sustainability Best Practices, and a Gold Award for Community Energy Savings, adding to the pair of awards won in 2016. Last year, our award application highlighted initiatives like the Food Census, Love Your Block, and Unity Park. With so many amazing events happening throughout the year, it's easy to stay busy and engaged in the community. Here are a few highlights of the many events and celebrations that happened in Richmond throughout the past year. For 2 days straight, 23rd Street hosted Cinco de Mayo with a parade, vendors, musicians, and much, much more. The largest Cinco de Mayo celebration in California, they tell me. The Juneteenth parade and festival featured school and community groups, and the musical lineup was phenomenal. Our Community Services Department also hosted a number of great events at the auditorium and in many community centers. The Summer Talent Show was a great opportunity for summer camp participants to showcase their wonderful abilities. Our annual Richmond Rainbow Pride event featured civil rights leaders alongside musical artists for a fun day of rising up together. The first annual Taste of Richmond event was a huge success for our city manager's office in collaboration with the Economic Development Commission. Created to increase the patronage of Richmond businesses and restaurants, over 500 Richmond residents and visitors enjoyed delicious food and libations, perfect weather, and an expansive view at the bay at the Riggers Loft. In March, the Tibetan Association of Northern California, located in Richmond, held a ceremony at City Hall to recognize the anniversary of Tibetan Uprising Day. The Mayor's Community Fund that I established with the Richmond Community Foundation in 2015 is going strong thanks to local funders. We're entering our 3rd year of the Richmond Youth Sports Grants Program starting in a few weeks. Applications will open on March 1st, and we've allocated a total of $20,000 to support youth sports and activities in Richmond. Richmond's Person of the Year is Ryan Coogler, a Bay Area native who grew up in Richmond. Coogler is gaining recognition worldwide as the director of Marvel's Black Panther, which has grossed over $700 million in just 2 weeks. The film is expected to gross well beyond $1 billion and is on track to being one of the highest earning films ever. Ryan is one of the many examples of great things that come from our community. Congratulations to him on his success. Recreation is not just for fun, it keeps you healthy. Residents are taking ownership and improving the quality of life in their neighborhoods through the Love Your Block grants that have been awarded throughout the city. 8 $1,000 mini grants were awarded to volunteer groups who led community beautification projects in their neighborhoods. Projects included murals, neighborhood cleanups, and community gardens. The tool lending library has grown to 263 members in 2017 and has proven to be a great asset to creating healthier neighborhoods. Over 150 residents became members just in 2017 alone. An average of 30 tools are checked out each week, and 27 project groups have utilized these tools to complete their tasks. Launched in 2016, the Mayor's Office Food Census Project to survey, map, and evaluate the availability of healthy food to all residents has turned out to be a complex and time-consuming project, but we're on the home stretch. The project has been a partnership between my office, state and county public health agencies, the UC Berkeley, that is focusing on understanding the food landscape in our city. The preliminary findings show that based on the data collected, most of our food stores fall below the state standards for the availability and access to healthy food. Study allows us to understand and act on opportunities to raise the standard of food stores all over Richmond. The City of Richmond has long partnered with community groups to improve Richmond's parks and open spaces, redeveloping and opening up numerous sites in the past 10 years. Most notably, Unity Park, a multi-year project of the Friends of the Richmond Greenway, started construction in 2017. According to the Richmond Community Survey, 47% of respondents rated Richmond City Parks as good or excellent. This is an increase of 17% from 10 years ago. We agree that parks make life better. The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, the nation's largest philanthropy solely dedicated to health, has awarded the Richmond Health Initiatives a grant to strengthen, evaluate, and disseminate efforts by community organizations and local governments to promote health equity, including the implementation of our Health in All policy strategy. The City of Richmond will be partnering with UC Berkeley researchers to conduct that research. Entering into 2017, I made 10 wishes and predictions for key initiatives impacting the city's future. I'm happy to share that I got 7 out of 10 of those wishes and predictions correct. Perhaps my best ever. I'm not going to tell you what the other 3 were. I don't talk about my failures. I've also come up with a wish list for 2018, and we'll see how that goes. I'm shooting for 10 out of 10 this time. And finally, looking ahead to 2018, these are our top 10 challenges, but they're also opportunities. If we can tackle just one of these challenges successfully, we can make a huge difference in improving the lives of the people who live and work in Richmond. And now we pause for a commercial. How many of you have read Betty Soskin's new book, Sign My Name to Freedom? Well, if you haven't, you ought to get it. It's really a good read. And if you keep an eye out, you can probably catch Betty at one of her book presentations and signings. They're all over the place, but I'm sure there'll be some in and around Richmond. And finally, what you've been waiting for, the end. Have a great year.